Okay, welcome everybody to another episode of the Sports Interval. This time we're looking at cricket. Hence we've got Simnikiwe Xabanisa, who's a very world-renowned writer. We've got Sotyelelwa, who's with SABC Sports. Does a lot of commentary for SABC. He's done a bit of writing as well when it comes to cricket. And also we've got former Proteas fast bowler, Monde Zondeki. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Yeah, afternoon, Phila. Afternoon. Thank you very much. I'll take this one first. Thank you very much for having me again. And good afternoon to the gentlemen. And in particular, Monde, who I haven't seen in a very, very long time. I think the last time I saw him was at Coke Week in 2019. But apart from that, it's good to hear what he has to say and also sing.
Oh, cool. Yeah, thanks for having me too. And welcome, Jen. So thank you for having me again. Yeah.
Dasum, you can go.
Listen, I'm not so sure about world renown. My own mother doesn't recognize what I do as actually a living. So, yeah, but anyway, I'll take it because I don't get much respect these days.
No, we definitely respect your craft here, mate. Definitely respect. Gentlemen, I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to go straight into it. South African cricket has been obviously in turmoil for the past couple of months. And now we've got a new coach. We've discussed this with Six 2 weeks back. We've never had to actually have a former cricket player as well and a journalist involved. But this time around, I just want to hear from you, Tasim, in terms of what you've thought about the situation that we come from, and do you see us with a new coach, with a new director of cricket? Do you see us moving in the right direction with these choices that we've made as the Cricket South Africa?
Look, I think obviously right here, right now, it's a bit too early to make any big sort of announcements in terms of, are we headed in the right direction or not? Simply because, anyone who's watched the actual cricket over the last few months when we could still watch sport, it didn't look particularly promising. But, I guess the key is always to look at, sort of almost science, which is not an exact science, obviously, because, the only exact science is hindsight, where, they're guaranteed to be right. But I know there's rumblings about, Mark Barcher getting the job as head coach. There's also rumblings about Graham Smith getting the director of cricket gig. I probably don't, if you were to ask me what my sort of rumblings were, it would be, I'm not sure what Enoch had done wrong to warrant sort of almost being demoted to assistant coach. That would be my grumble. I think a lot of other people went, with qualifications and this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, you can't deny the fact that Mark Barcher has been coaching at franchise level. And he's coached some of our national team players. I mean, a guy like Ngidi, I think he basically got him back into the national frame again, having worked with him. So I've got no problems with the work he's done, and whether he, as a result, being an ex-player of massive experience, plus that bit of coaching, and the fact that he actually got trophies while he was at it. So I don't see it as an issue in that sense. The only issue, like I said, would be, Enoch hadn't done anything wrong to be demoted. Obviously, Graham Smith, the big question mark for me was his ability at corporate. It's one thing to be able to run a cricket team as a captain, but it's quite another to then be sort of almost like a captain of industry in the corporate sense, and that's going to work itself out. Problem is, both these guys, they have a history of having been thrown into the deep end when they started their careers as players and having swum before. So that's probably going to result in a situation where there's quite a willingness at CSA to give them the opportunity. And sometimes that's all it takes to actually succeed. It's, being given that opportunity to get on with it. Whereas maybe, a guy like Enoch, he had to make miracles in India. And because the establishment maybe doesn't know as much, then basically didn't give him the opportunity to get right whatever he'd learned in India. So guys like these, with their reputations are going to buy them time. We see now Graham Smith has already been made, the permanent director of cricket, and Boucher's in until 2023. And so you look at that, there's nothing you can do about that. So there's no point complaining about that. And I'm not a big fan of carrying on, in terms of the cricket itself, I looked at it. We had so many games where, we went so hard. It was almost like a team with no confidence. We went as hard as we possibly could. It's almost like, when cowards fight, a coward tries to end the fight in literally 5 to 10 seconds because he's not sure what's going to happen if it's not finished in the next 15, when the other guy hits back. So essentially that's what we've done. But I like their approach. I like the approach that at long last we're having a go. Unfortunately, with an approach like that, what's going to happen is you are going to, hit or miss. And sometimes we've hit and sometimes we've missed. But you can't help but look at, say, the result against the Aussies. In the ODIs as an encouragement of things to come. So it's kind of like still hanging, but and then COVID hasn't helped because now we can't gauge any sort of subsequent performances, and they've almost gone back to to planning mode.
No, 100%. Monde, you were a former player with the wealth of experience and your knowledge and basically having new coaches, having new structures being put in place. How much do you think that has an impact on players? Because, we've seen the past year, our performance hasn't been that great at Proteas. We've basically, like Usim just said, there's not much to gauge, but do you think we're on the right path in terms of CSA?
Well, in terms of Graham and Boucher, I think time will tell. It's going to be very hard for me to say, I think we're on the right path without knowing what kind of plans they've put in place and where they're going in terms of the future. I know that they've talked about the Erasmus approach, which doesn't mean it's going to work just because they're trying to get the overseas players who signed contracts back into the country. There's one or two guys that I would love to see back in South Africa playing, like a Riley Rousseau, for example. But I'm not too keen on getting the guys who left the country to make money and basically decided that their international careers were over. Bring them back. But that's just But obviously, those guys can add really great value, bring us back on, make us a much better team than But I don't think too many of them can. As I said, Riley Rousseau and probably is one of the options. I always enjoyed him as a player, but again, time will tell with Boucher and Smith. I like the idea of having former players directly involved, who just left the game, so they're fresh off knowing how the system works and how the game goes. So I do enjoy that idea. Whether it's the right coaches and the right director, again, time will tell. We'll see. And just talking about Enoch, if I was Enoch, I think I was telling a friend of mine the other day, I probably wouldn't have taken the job as an assistant if I was him. He had only been coaching for a year at the Lions, where obviously he had a good relationship with the previous CEO that put him into the position of head coach. And if he wasn't going to get the job of head coach with the national side, I just think that being an assistant where you're running a franchise basically as the head coach of the Lions takes you back a little bit. Now you've basically gone back into the wilderness. We're not really going to see or hear from him too often. I think he would have helped his coaching had he been a head coach again for the Lions for another couple of seasons, just to groom and help himself in terms of understanding how to run a team and winning more trophies. But now he just becomes an assistant, and I'm not sure how much of a voice he has in that locker room. If I was him, I certainly would have wanted to stay with the Lions and gain some more experience as a head coach before I take on the national team job. But again, time will tell. We shall see. It's very hard to say. Most of the climate and we are in a rebuilding phase in South African cricket. There's no doubt in terms of players. We lost a lot of experience in a very short space of time. If you think about a Morco, Steyn, Amla, too many de Villiers, all going within a year or two of each other. So that's a wealth of experience that you lose at the same time. So you are going to have to rebuild a little bit. So it was expected that we were going to go through a bit of a struggle. And and then find the right players and put them in the right places to be able to build on that.
Six, I want you to jump in here, man. Monde speaks about losing a lot of experienced players probably at one go. I mean, Ufaf has come out now and he said he's committing to all three formats. Do you still think that we need a guy like Faf, as old as he is, to still stick in? I mean, obviously we're trying to rebuild. We're trying to build a new group. We're trying to get a lot of players game time. Does that hinder Mark Boucher's plans of getting now the new and young talent to pull through in the system?
It helps him. It certainly helps him to have Faf du Plessis. And you almost have to look at how did Faf du Plessis himself get to where he is today in terms of his captaincy and how great he's been for South Africa in terms of leadership and really steadying a side that at times has looked in sixes and sevens. But it was because of all the experience he had around him. Around 2012, 2013, you still had the likes of Grace Smith, Shark Cullis in and around the system, and he would have fed off a lot from that, which had obviously built him up to what he is today. And for Mark Boucher right now, he desperately needs Faf du Plessis with his experience, and in particular with the test side. We're seeing debutants with every single test match. We're seeing debutants being given a chance, and some debutants will be given an extended run. And with an extended run, I feel you do need a solid a captain who's been there, and someone like Australia did. You know, when the sandpaper gate happened to them, they went for safety first. You know, they went for a captain who has been around, someone who's been around Australian cricket, who knows the ranks of Australian cricket, and in particular the test side and the culture of the test side. And it's helped them to the success that they have in recent times.
Yeah, but mate, I'm trying to find out, should he choose at least one or two formats, let's say maybe test and ODIs? Leave the T20.
If Faf is scoring runs in T20 cricket, pick him. If he's scoring runs in one-day cricket, pick him. If he's scoring in Test cricket, pick him. If he's still scoring runs, pick him.
Is he scoring runs?
Well, his recent numbers in Test cricket don't suggest, aren't as glorified as they should be for the player that he is. But you almost have to consider all the changes that have happened around him that might have affected his batting performances.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, now I want to move into the squads that we have. I want to start off with the test squad, basically, gents. What do you guys, Sim, I'll start with you again. Who is your best 11 for the Proteas side where test is concerned? Don't worry about ODIs and T20 for now. Where test cricket is concerned, because at some point there's been a lot of debate whether we should stay with Ngidi and Markram, and some people are saying we should go with Malan over Markram, because we know, okay, Hamza, we want him in the system. I want him personally. But now, do we now add Ngidi and Markram maybe at 3? Or do we say, Malan, you go at 3, open Markram with Dean Elk? What's your perfect test batting lineup? The perfect test batting lineup for the Proteas?
Look, I would go with obviously everyone that's available to start with, and not fantasize about, say, maybe a really highly rated player that's injured or whatever, someone that we could bring in or whatever. I'll go with what's available. I would go Elgar, Malan, Markram at 3, Temba Bavuma at 4, Rassie van der Bissen at 5, Hamza at 6, Queenie at 7, Maharaj at 8, KG at 9, Moki at 10, and at 11. So obviously that's just 4 bowlers, which is 3 quicks and a spinner. The basic reasoning there is, I think in Malan and Elgar, you probably have 2 similar players, guys who grind it out. I'm just looking at how many times we struggled to make it to 300 as a team, and I think a lot of that has got to do with the fact that we don't have sort of obdurate openers. So it probably isn't a great situation to have 2 guys like that playing together. But I just think we do need to sort of steady the opening batting first, and then sort of overload the batting, because at the moment we can't talk about a top six and then start messing around with the quicks, with the bowlers, simply because if our batting results tell us anything, it's that it hasn't happened. Obviously, Markram, you give him another chance to play more of those, the bright and attractive 20s and 30s. Hopefully they Temba, you give a proper run at 4, because I really think, we underestimate his technique and his mentality and his range of shots. The way he's played in one days and T20s, he's got the shots, and what's really good about him is, as a number 4, he'll play according to the team's needs. If you need to step it up, having seen what we've seen of him at white ball cricket, he can do that, or basically just rotate the strike. Or if you need him to sort of do what he used to do with Quinny when he came on and we were in trouble, he can carry on with that. Rassie van der Distance had a solid start, probably deserves, to carry on. Hamza, obviously, he looks great. He's another guy who, you watch some of these, about 3 quick 4s and then he gets out. So I think ultimately he'll be a 3, but just to sort of ease him in, system, just to make sure that, he's thereabouts and there isn't as much on his shoulders. So that's why I would play him at 6. And then Quinny does what Quinny does at 7, and then he plays as a wicket-keeper, and there's no sort of extra batting pressure on him, if you want to put it that way. And then, the bowlers, I think, are pretty self-explanatory in terms of what they've done in the last sort of 12 months or whatever.
No, fair team. Monde, I want your side, please.
Yeah, but this is actually really hard to pick a team, because there's so many things that come into it, though. I see with Simnikiwe 5, so clearly you're telling him to retire, I see.
Yeah, I'm telling him to retire.
I was also going to mention it, but I wanted to see the other guys' teams first and then bring it back to Sim's exclusion of Ufaf.
I don't know if I have a top team per se. I would say this. I probably wouldn't have Malan in my starting 11. I know he's had a pretty decent start to his career, international-wise, but I think Markram's a no-brainer in terms of as an opener. He's obviously gone through some injuries and had some difficult times in terms of with the bat and scoring runs, but more in one-day cricket than test in his career so far. So in my test team, for sure, he's in my team. I still like him as an opener. I do like guys who take the game forward. I think him and Alga work really well together, because they are complete opposites in terms of how they approach the game. I think having Alga and Malan open exactly don't really take the game forward really too safe, but I do like the Markram and Alga angle. And then we had obviously Hamza as a number 3. So I'm not too sure if he's quite ready for Test cricket just yet. Obviously, he's had some failures at the start of his career, but he's got the talent because he clearly scores at domestic level. So it's hard to throw away a young player who has had some hard times to start his career away so quickly.
Before you carry on, Monde, would you say now that our domestic cricket, I mean, we've seen a short span of Hamza, but he hasn't given us the runs that he gives us on a domestic level. Would you say we have the right caliber of bowlers at our domestic level, where Hamza can gain the experience that he needs? Because, I mean, Stuart Broad coming in and Anderson coming in, Stokes coming in, it proved to be a challenge for him against England.
Look, domestic right now isn't as strong as it could be. He would like to play in a system or in a franchise, or in a system anyway, domestically, that is very strong in terms of top to bottom. Like if you look at our SAA team, they haven't been doing well over the last couple of years, because I think we're probably a little bit thin. Even on the 19 team has been struggling for the last couple of years. So yeah, I think we probably at our worst that I've seen in a really long time in terms of talent coming through. So that's not ideal of it. So if you're a top batter, you are going to score runs. And if you're one of the few quality bowlers in the system, you are going to take wickets. So yeah, domestically, I don't think we're as strong as we've been in the past. We've been a lot stronger before. But if you're the best of the domestic players, what can you do? You have to pick the best that you have, right? So there's not much you can do. The only way you can probably gain a bit more experience is maybe by going overseas in the winter and going to England or trying to get a contract around the counties just to get some experience and play with better or in a different conditions just to keep Bangladesh, which is a perfect start. So it's definitely high, but he scored runs against Australia after that, Markram. So it is different, but yeah, he's got talent.
Okay, continue.
So, yeah, I like Bavuma at 4. I think he's a guy who needs time with the wicket. He's got a very good technique to me. So the only thing with him is that he always seems to get a start and never gets up. So it would be nice to see him score some big hundreds just to keep the critics quiet for a change, because he obviously took a lot of criticism when he got dropped and people were on his back about him not scoring big hundreds. But in terms of temperament, talent and everything else, he's got it.
100%.
I just I'm still not sure why he hasn't been able to kick out and score big hundreds in international cricket, because he always gets good start majority of the time. I actually like, at the moment, I would say, Du Plessis still wants to play. It's whether it's because he's not good enough anymore, maybe because of age, I don't know. But obviously, in the last couple of years, he hasn't scored runs. So it's a tough call for me in terms of, do you tell him, mate, maybe it's time to hang up the boots, and because he still wants to play? That's a call that the coach and captain are going to have to make, because it's, the coach and the director are going to have to make it. It's a tough call, because obviously he's had the talent and he's been good enough over the years, but is it because of age now? And we see that a lot of really good players. It happened to the best of them. But you get to a certain age where you're just not the same player anymore. So that's the call they're going to have to make. But I do like to cut at 5. I think at the moment he's probably our best player. And I don't want to waste him at 7, because then he usually gets to back to the tail enders, and then he has to take chances he probably doesn't have to take, and doesn't really have the time to build an innings like he can. But I do like him at 5. I think we need Fana Dusin's good at 6. I like Rassi. I think he's, again, the guy who's come in and done pretty well in a short space of time. And then you need an all-rounder somewhere. 3 bowlers, 3 pitches and a spinner, to me, is a lot of work for this, especially if you're playing in hard and grinding wickets that aren't going to offer a lot to seamers. You're going to need someone to take off the load. And I say that because Kagiso, I think, over the years has bowled a hell of a lot of overs, and I think it's catching up with him. He's starting to show a little bit of wear and tear. I think he does. You do need to take some load off him. So I think you need an all-rounder. Who it is, boy, we've been struggling for an all-rounder since Carlos left. So there's a molder from Gauteng who's had a lot of injury problems over the last year or two. There's obviously Phehlukwayo, who hasn't really been given a full go to see what he can do at test level. And then there's a young guy, but he's also still very young, Proteas, who's played in the World Cup at 19, but he's only 19, 20. So he needs time and experience. But I think you need a number 7 somewhere. I think at the moment between those 2 guys. And then, Maharaj, and then the 3 crickets I do.
All right, cool. 6?
Yeah, just to jump on what you touched on with Monde, with what our batters facing in domestic cricket. And I think we were shown in that England series, Curran picking up left arm over the wicket, picking up a few wickets with the ball that wasn't moving. It was just the angle, which then translates into what is being faced in domestic cricket. Buren Hendricks, the only left armer that I can think of at the top of my head, Cheryl Kutsia as well, one of the Janssen brothers. So there aren't a lot of left arm quicks just in that regard going around in the domestic cricket that actually test our batters, our right-hand batters, with the ball coming across the line and trying to play, etc., etc. Dom Bass came here, picked up wickets where he shouldn't have, on surfaces that aren't turning. So those are some of the issues that, perhaps we could look into in domestic cricket, is our players playing for turn where there isn't turn, etc., etc. But with my side, I still believe any test side, I will pick a spinner, I will pick an all-rounder. And I'll have my top 6 and obviously my all-round at number 7. Opening, Ngidi and Markram. I'm sure Cricket South Africa has been praying since that partnership actually comes to something. And in particular, Aiden Markram, because he then fits into the leadership group that they will then think of going forward. But at number 3, I still believe your best player in the side. And when I say best, I won't regard that as current form alone, but as someone who will play the situation, would have been around situations like this before. And hence I would have Faf du Plessis at number 3, so that he shows that, this is what it's about. This is what you're about. And if you're not going to score runs, then you out of the side, so that he plays for his side, no longer just playing as the captain. And at number 4, I'd have Temba. Number 5, Quinton. Number 6, I'd have Rassie. Number 7, Phehlukwayo. 8, Kagiso. 9, Andrich. 10, Keshav. And 11, Ngidi.
Ngidi. Not a bad side, gentlemen. Not a bad side.
Malan, but just on Malan though. Malan, one of the few things I look for in a test opener or a first-class opener is technique, because that carries you through so much. And what I saw from Malan is that he's got a solid technique for test cricket, and perhaps with an extended run, he could cause headaches for Aiden Markram and the plans that Cricket South Africa have for him.
Fair enough. Gentlemen, there's been news coming out this week that Mzansi Super League might add 2 more sides. And one of those sides could be coming from our region, East London, Border. Mondeman, as a former player for Border, I mean, do you think it's good that we would bring some cricket back to Buffalo Park?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it can't be a bad thing. It's obviously a really good thing. Yeah, I think people of East London love the cricket. They support. I mean, when South Africa plays, it's always packed. And I remember when I was in high school, because we never got to see South Africa play very often, when there was a game down in East London, we got a bus from the school and we all went down as a school. So, yeah, of course. It would be great for East London. It would be great for Bloemfontein too. I think the other franchise is Bloemfontein, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Yeah, so the more the merrier, and obviously the more players out there, the more opportunities for the younger players and for other guys to experience, and also make some money as well. So you expand the franchise, you expand the game to different regions who don't get to see it as often as I'd like, and also you get more players involved. And with the wealth of experience that comes in with overseas players and all, it certainly does help our cricket.
Fair enough. I mean, Six, you've been vocal about Eastern Cape. You've been very vocal. Short and quick, mate. Short and quick, your thoughts on East London? Water?
Look, the sharing of the 2 venues between St. George's Park and Buffalo Park has killed the interest in East London cricket community and the interest in general. When the Warriors are playing in East London, you're lucky to find 200 people at the stadium. But obviously when the Proteas come to town, they'll sell out. So perhaps this is a way in which to just remind East London community of what they have in terms of talent. There's still lots of talent. And Mfuneko Ngam will tell you of the talent that's in the outskirts of East London alone. So this might help a franchise in town, and also the enthusiasts, who will, bring the kid to come to the cricket stadium, and a journey might begin as he walks through those turnstiles at Buffalo Park.
Yeah, Tassim, in terms of, we haven't seen a lot of guys coming from Border making it to the Proteas. I mean, even if you look at the Proteas setup right now.
Kweshila. Please don't forget Kweshila, please.
You're even looking at Border right now. Looking at Proteas right now. Your thoughts in terms of having a Mzansi team there?
Look, on the face of it, it's a good idea. But I think, all of us are from the Eastern Cape, and so I don't think any of us would say it's a bad idea for the Eastern Cape to have its own sort of NSL team there. But the elephant in the room that we're not addressing is the fund. Where's the money going to come from? This tournament is already draining CSA's money, and you add COVID-19 on top of that, and then the fact that, if somebody turns around and says to me, there's broadcasting money in it, loads of it, and there's a title sponsor and a whole lot of sort of commercial stuff happening around the competition, by all means you can extend it. But to extend it from a position of being in the red makes absolutely no sense to me, regardless of, you know, the positive spin-offs of actually being able to find more space for, you know, to accommodate the talent that we have in the country. My only concern is commercial, because if there is no CSA to, you know, to run an MSL, then there's no cricket. Those kids are not playing anymore.
Fair enough. Nice and short. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me today. We have to cut the show very short. And I'd like to thank you guys for taking time out and chatting with me about the current situation of South African cricket and where we are going. I appreciate you guys spending this time with us at Great Sports at the Sports Interval. Hope to see you guys next week. The show was brought to you by MAT Consulting. Visit www.mat.co.za. Cheers, gentlemen.